Right then, let's go go live. So, I'm not sure if this will have a delay on it or not, but apparently I am now actually live. So, lads, lasses, people with glasses, and of course, all of those in between. My name, in case you didn't already know, is Dexter, and welcome to tonight's low energy live stream, where I have a jam-packed episode for you. No, not I suppose not really. I have got more things to talk about than normal, but that's only because I've been on holiday and I've actually spent an extra 5 minutes on top of what I would normally do. So, but we'll as always we will see how the show goes, and I also realise I have to calm down a little bit. I've got to calm down and actually speak properly and not run away with myself. So, who we got in the chat? Good evening there, Paul. Thank you very much for dropping in. Hello, Ben. Hello. Hello there, Martello. Thank you very much for dropping in, and thank you again for joining us on the Technical Problem broadcast on Monday. Poseidon, good evening there, my friend. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you all for dropping in, and also thank you to anyone else that is actually out there that just isn't talking in the chat. So, how is everyone this week? I hope that you are all doing absolutely fine. I hope that you have all had a great week, or at least a great week so far, and are looking forward to a great weekend of paintball ahead. So, we currently have four viewers in the live chat. Apparently 4 viewers in the live chat, now up to 5, and I think this is the perfect opportunity for it to drop into where you can go and play this weekend, and of course everyone else can catch up in the meantime. Everyone else can catch up as we're going. So let's get this started. So first up, we have Mayhem Tactical at Mayhem Abridge this weekend. This is on the 7th. And it is £35, including a bag of 500 balls. It is mag-fed, tac caps, and 50-round loaders are all welcome. Those using 50-round hoppers, and I'm assuming this also applies to tac caps, can only carry one full loader and a 100-round pod on field at any one point. There is also, for to point out, there is also a heated indoor kitten up area. There is showers on site, which is a really nice touch when you've had a long, hard day. The game zones also have tanks, helicopters, and planes that you're going to be fighting around. So if you want to go down there, you want to get your sort of tactical on, there's something there for you to kind of fight around to get a bit immersed right into it. Shout out to Ronnie Hollington for giving us the heads up on that one. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that Ronnie is actually the site owner. Now, that is actually a recurring theme with people that have gave us information for these games. Not always, but most of them. So thank you very much, Ronnie, for the heads up on that one. Next up, we have a CQB walk-on at District 23. This one, I believe, is open to anyone that wants to drop down and attend. So that is mag-fed, pump, open class, whatever your style is, you're welcome to attend this one. So CQB walk-on at District 23 on this coming Sunday. Green fee is £18. It is £10 per bag, and it is side paint only. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please remember that at District 23, they have to shoot a custom ball on site because it is an indoor field. And they also use it for airsoft, for even for kids' birthday parties with things like Nerf. So please be conscious of that. Is the reason why paint it's a little bit expensive. It's not ridiculously expensive, but you are shooting it's a clear fill with a white shell ball, so that's the reason why. But fantastic site. Now there is also at District 23 again. So remember, bear in mind what I've previously said there a little bit. There is a mag-fed session on Saturday, running from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. and it is £28. Now, the reason that the reason the mag-fed session is £28 is it is ideally catered towards rental players. However, that is not to stop anyone else going down and taking part with mag-fed equipment, but it is specifically a mag-fed game. Now, what do you get for your £28? I've mentioned this before, and I will probably mention it again. Thank you very much for giving us that information there, Ben. It is Tomahawk paint, so that's if you want to know what you're going to be shooting if you attend District 23, that's what you'll be getting. So yeah, what do you get for your £28? Well, you get your entry fee. If you're a rental player or just a regular player that wants to use the site kit, you get your overalls, you get a mask, you get a chest harness, 4 mags. The TMC will be issued to you along with obviously a tank. So you've actually got your propellant as well. And you get all of the paint that you really require for each game that you go out. So on average, if you take your own gear, of course you may be given a slightly different amount, but on average it is 4 mags for the rental players, so you would get the equivalent. But it's a fantastic little site, and it's definitely one that I go to as regular as I can, and I really like playing down there. Plus, it's actually local, so right. Ben says, either way, Chan shot me in the throat. I believe it was actually me that shot Chan in the throat. Although Chan has probably shot me in the throat at some point, so it could actually be either way. Right. Next up, there is a walk-on, the big walk-on at Paintball Park Kidderminster this coming Sunday. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, the previous shout-out goes to Michaela Fratwell for giving us the information for those. And again, Michaela actually manages District 23. I believe she's the manager of District 23. So, thank you very much for that information there, Michaela. So, next one goes to, it's the big walk-on at Paintball Park Kidderminster. This shout-out goes to David Anslow. Thank you very much for this information, David. Thank you very much for the heads-up. So District 20, sorry, no, not District 23. I'm only on Pop tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So I am struggling a bit tonight. No Dutch courage. Right. So, Paintball Park Kidderminster, the big walk on. This coming Sunday, free entry. However, it is site paint only. And for that, you are looking at £40 per box on average, I believe it is. I think that they do have a couple of different options, but simplicity's sake, £40 a box. And going up from there. There is also a free photographer on site. Now, it is normally Lucia Wood Photography. However, I don't know if she is actually in attendance this weekend or not, but the fact that there is a free photographer on site either way is great. The fact that there is a free photographer there means that you get all those nice profile pictures that you get to stick on Facebook later on and make you look cool to the rest of the paintball community. Next up, included with that, if you book in advance, you get a free Domino's when you book online. If you don't book in advance and you want to pay on the day, there is an extra £5 included for, or you need to add an extra £5 on for your Domino's on the day. There is also on site, I believe, a shop. There is also lockers and a covered over safe area. So should the weather turn bad, although at the minute, as you can see from my window behind me, it is absolutely cooking in the UK. I believe Ali G on the Ali G show years and years ago said, by the year 2020, England could be as hot as Ibiza. Well, let's make it happen. And now that I'm getting older and realise gingers don't do well in hot weather, that's not so good. Next up, I have a notice to give you. Campaign. Their walk-on is not going ahead this weekend. Unfortunately, they've apparently got too many rental customers on site, so they're having to postpone their normally scheduled walk-on until later on in the month. I believe it's the 21st that they're knocking it back to. And if you go check out the page, I'm not sure if I've linked it in the description down below or not, but if you go check out the campaign page, I believe they are offering the next walk-on at a slightly discounted price as a thank you for the players for being a little bit patient. That's the nicest. That's the nice way to put that. I think. Next up, there is the Driverwood Walk On. This coming Sunday. Driverwood, for those that don't know, is near Gatwick. It is £25 with bring your own paint, or £50 with paint. That is obviously for a box of 2,000. For those that may not know, because you never know who's here. Gareth Homewood, this is the site owner, and this shout out goes to Gareth Homewood for giving us the information for this one. If you want to go down, and again I'm saying for free photographers, the photographs that are taken on site for this game are offered for free, so please remember to take a USB stick or something that you can transfer the photos onto, so you get all those cool photos that you can then scan through later on, find the best ones of you, and stick them up on your Facebook page, or your Twitter, Instagram, wherever you like to post. I do not judge. There is also a hot lunch included, pyro is available, and to be perfectly honest, that is where I'm going to end with what is available at Driverwood. I normally like to stick down a few extra things here, so I can give you a bit of a heads up on what is on offer and stuff. Frankly, there is too much on offer at Driverwood for me to be able to read it all out. So, please guys, go check out the link in the description for Driverwood if you are interested in going and playing there. And finally, there is Hull Paintball Waterloo Club Night game on Saturday, this coming Saturday. 6:30 PM start. They are apparently ordering a takeaway in, so you might want to take a few quid with you just so you can chip in on that. It is £20 entry, with you can either have bring your own paint, or it is £25 for 2,000 balls, £15 for 1,000, or £10 for £10 for 500, which I think those are some pretty good pricing. Can't really argue with that. And the shout out for this one, the first person to mention it on the thread where I asked about what games was going on this weekend, was Andrew James. So thank you very much for that, Andrew. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for what I know of where you can go and play this weekend. Oh god, this sounds a lot cheesier when I'm sober. Right, I'm gonna have a quick drop into the comments here, see what people are saying, and then we shall take it from there. Right. So yes, Ben, it was many laughs indeed. Richie, where's Colin and Albert? Well, I believe it is Albert's son's prom tonight, so you know, congratulations to him on actually achieving his prom, and I suppose that it'll be a very proud moment for Albert. I can imagine that if I had kids, it would be quite a proud moment for me if they managed to graduate school. Yeah. Colin, I do not know, but I would imagine he will probably be along relatively soon. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is just, at the moment, me and you. Me sitting in here in front of the camera, and you all effectively sitting behind it. And that's not intimidating at all when you're sober. Anyway, so, yes, Ben still did a chuckle, yes. Paul Cross, Richie, have you checked the van? Paul, it is not my van. I do kind of own a van, but it isn't my van that the party normally happens in. Richie, someone has spiked them with the same roofies Chan had on Monday night. A suspicious van seen driving by. Again, I have nothing to do with the van. I drive a van, yes, but you can see in my van it has lots and lots of windows. Hello there, Boulder. Thank you very much for dropping in. And good evening there, Albert. Thank you as well for dropping in. Now, Albert, so how was are you filled with pride seeing your boy heading off to prom? It's I was just saying it must be a very proud moment. Yes, and Richie says, as we speak, the purple one appears. So, we do have a few topics to talk about tonight, which I've got to admit, most of them this week are either talking of giveaways, or potential giveaways, or actual giveaways. So I kind of feel like I shouldn't be letting you know about this stuff because it kind of reduces my chances of winning. And quite frankly, I want the stuff myself. But I would be wrong to keep these things to myself and not share them with each of you fine ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why I'm saying ladies, because let's face it, pretty much everyone that watches my stream is a dude. But if there is any ladies out there who do watch my stream, then you should be entitled to be in on this as well. Albert, you're on your phone. Aha! Right, so you've worked it all out then. Poseidon, you're thinking of building a steampunk paintball mask. Poseidon, go for it, dude. I've got a bit of a soft spot for steampunk. You do it. That'll be really cool, man. Richie, picture has frozen, sound only there. Right, I'm going to try closing some stuff on my screen, and I'll see if that makes any difference. Either way, sound dropping out there too, Paul. I'm just going to assume that this is just internet witchery, since everything seems to be screwy today. So if you are having problems receiving my beautiful voice and my beautiful face, then just assume that it is something to do with Facebook not working. But right, so let's just power on and see what happens. As long as you can hear us, as long as you can hear my soothing voice, we're all right. I'll tell you what. I'm going to try adjusting some stuff. I can't guarantee anything it'll work, but well, we'll see. We'll see. Output. I have adjusted this before, and let's just try bumping the bitrate up, which I have no idea what that actually does in all honesty, but it seemed to make a difference last time. So right, and now I'll just close that. I just want to save the changes. Yes, it's fine on my end, but yeah, I don't know what's going on. It yours? Yeah. Albert, he's proud, yes, but scary. Don't think you'll be getting much sleep tonight. Yeah. It's something that I can only imagine, since you know I don't have kids. The closest thing to a child I currently have is, well, I suppose I've got a dog, and I've got one that's half cooked. So it must be scary seeing them get older and sort of doing things. But yeah, there we go. So apparently turning up the bitrate actually does something. I've got no idea. But yes, it's working a little bit better now. I'm kind of wondering if I just crank the bitrate right up, what would happen when yeah. Right, anyway, let's move on with this a little bit. So then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure what my first link is over here, if I can actually find it. I still really need to have a rearrange of my desk. I will get round to it eventually. We will. Just bear with us. Right, so first thing I wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to is, I think most of you at this point close the Pornhub windows. Already done that. Most of you are probably already aware, but Manchester 3D printing are becoming reasonably popular on social media at the minute, thanks to their quite cool designs with some of the marker stands that they've been creating recently. They're hinting, because they're growing quite well. Liam, I'm pretty sure it's Liam, his page is growing very, very well on Facebook, and he's getting a bit of popularity because he is actually creating some very good stuff. Well, because his page is increasing in size, he's hinting that he's going to be doing another giveaway. Now, I would imagine that this is probably going to be a giveaway at around maybe 300 likes. So, at the minute, all I've seen, now if anything else has come up today, I may have missed it due to Facebook being dodgy, but it looks as though he may be giving away, I believe it's a PodPal marker stand. He may be giving away one, he may be giving away more, I don't know. But I believe a giveaway is coming. Now, if you aren't already following Manchester 3D Printing on Facebook, there is a link in the description down below. Go check out the page, go check it out, give it a like, and you might be able to get yourself in there early on any potential giveaways. Now, like I said, that is only a potential, and it's just been hinted at the moment. But you know, you can only try, can't you? You can only try. So, Paul, he's on about that bloody mystery dog again. The dog is not a mystery. I have showed the dog on stream. I will show the dog again on stream at some point. Richie says, Liam... Oh, I'm probably going to butcher the surname. Weinson? It's Liam anyway. So, thank you very much for that information there, Richie. Albert. No, it's scary as that I used to get up is what you used to get up to at 16. Well, yeah. God, the idea of having kids and knowing that they could be getting up to what I got up to at 16 is frankly not all that worrying, because I really didn't get all that much when I was about 16. So. Right, so next up on the chopping block for the talk about, I'm going to get ready with my flick over to a different screen here in a moment. But ladies and gentlemen, episode number 9, or so should I say issue number 9 of the Paintball Mag is coming very, very soon, and it is actually available to pre-order now. So I'm going to flick over to this screen for... I have actually got the right screen because I forgot to check that earlier on. That could have gone one of two ways. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just actually in awe that is actually the right page that I shared. I really need to remember to check this stuff beforehand. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, issue number 9 is now available for pre-order. I've ordered mine. Have you ordered yours? So, I think it's for to get this magazine, it is an incredibly reasonable price. I believe it is, and I am very, very sorry if I get this wrong. I believe it's $4.99 for the order. It may be slightly less. Maybe I'm definitely sure it's not more. I kind of just scanned over it, ordered it. There we go. But anyway, now I don't know how many people have already pre-ordered, but the first 100 to pre-order will also get a free A2 fold-out poster. Now, what I'm thinking is that if I'm one of those people in the first 100, since I want to reorganize my stuff, I've got a big blank space on the wall over there. What I think I need to do is I need to move this picture over there. I need to move the poster if I get one over there. And I'm going to turn my desk around, but that doesn't matter because we're talking about issue number 9. So issue number 9, as you can see, if you're one of the first 100 to pre-order the magazine, you get a fold-out poster. However, you also, if you order before Saturday the 6th, so that is this coming Saturday, you will also be entered into a raffle for Red vs Blue, which is being hosted by the Paintball Mag at one of their sites. Well, at one of, I think it's On Target Paintball. I hope I haven't gotten that wrong. I'm sure that somebody in the comments will, in fact, no, I think it's been hosted Hollenbush. I am very, very sorry about that. I've got a lot of information running around in my head. But so Red vs Blue has been hosted by the guys at, well, by Martello, who owns, not owns, but is the editor of Paintball Mag at Hollenbush Paintball. Now, this game is next weekend, I believe. So if you haven't got a ticket and you want to get in there, you need to get in there fast. But if you order this Saturday, you could potentially have a game ticket to Red vs Blue, a box of paint to shoot on the day, and a swag bag of some Paintball magazine items, which looking at some of the items that the Paintball Mag is producing lately, I'm very, very interested to see what's in the swag bag. If somebody in here wins it, will you just send us a picture so I can imagine what it would have been like to have won? So anyway, I'm going to flick back over onto the main screen and see you're all abusing us over the information that I've got wrong. Martello, thank you very much. Yes, it is $4.99 plus postage and packaging as well. And it's 70 pre-ordered so far. That is absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for the information. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are one of the people in here that hasn't pre-ordered yet and you want to get yourself a free magazine, get yourself over. There is a link in the description down below where you can go and find more information. Get yourself down. Get it down. There. Get down there. Check it out. Get a magazine ordered. And yeah. I've just realised the delay on this is really, really far behind. So yes, and thank you very much, Richie, for correcting us there. Yes, it was actually Hollenbush. Right. I think I need to go back in these comments a little bit further. So Poseidon says, yeah, you need to put hashtags on Instagram. Yes, I know the feeling, Poseidon. I can't get. I never know what to put as hashtags. I've got like the stereotypical ones, you know, paintball, paintballer, paintballing, and then my mind just goes blank and I don't really know what else to put down as a hashtag. Richie, Albert, when you were 16, you had to go climb up chimneys to clean them out. Called blimey governor. Oof. Albert, he was on to his mates about coming home at 6 in the morning after the party. You mean he hasn't just got a hotel room booked somewhere for to go and stay there? Take his date back to? Because that's pretty much, I think, what most people did at my high school prom, which I didn't go to. Because I wasn't in high school anymore, so. And Richie Wong says, in regards to the Paintball Mag, bargain. Indeed it is, Richie. I've shown off, when I got my last issue of the Paintball Mag, I showed it off on stream a little bit, not too much, because I think if you want to see it, you need to buy it yourself. But I'll be buying it. Obviously, I should be getting mine once they've been sent out, and I will obviously show the mag off to you again on stream, because I genuinely believe it's something really nice to have and hold in your hand when you can if you're a commuter and you have to sit on a bus or sit on a train, for to be able to sit there and flick through the mag, and you don't even necessarily have to be really reading it yourself, but other people are seeing it and thinking that looks kind of cool, and they might want to know where they got it from, or it might spark a conversation, or once you're done with it, you can just slip it in between a few newspapers or a few magazines at the local doctor surgery, and you might have somebody see that and think that looks cool, and there's potential there. There's potential of actually just using a magazine to draw more players into the game. And I think that's pretty cool. Plus, the Paintball Mag is packed with information, which is just fantastic. You know, I always like to have hard copies of stuff, so when you have marker breakdowns, you have potential interviews with somebody that you look up to in paintball, or somebody that you want to learn more about in paintball. When you can sit and read those hard interviews, and you don't have to worry about the magazine running out of battery or anything like that, it's just a really nice touch. It's something that's really nice to have. So right, moving on a little bit. Although you know me by now, I tend to bounce around a lot. So Albert, mind when seeing his prom date. Right. So Bonnie Lassie, yeah. Poseidon. You want to get to Hollenbush to go play paintball. Well, this is it. Hollenbush has been around for a very long time, and they used to. I'm not sure if they still do or not, but they actually used to run a pump event at Hollenbush. I believe it's the only site. It's the only site that I know of in the UK that actually runs a pump only event, or as I said, it is probably more likely to be the case, used to run a pump only event. It's a real shame if they don't anymore, but it's something that I would have loved to attend, but is frankly, it's just too far for me to travel. But by all accounts, I've heard that Hollenbush is a fantastic site to go and play at. And Richie Wong says, that's what she said. Ooh. Right, so I need to move over here, close that. And, right, the next one, and we're going to have a bit of a flick through here as well. So, again, we have another giveaway to talk about. This time, it is BZ Paintball are giving away an HK Army Expand backpack. Now, I'll just flick over onto the share screen here. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. The HK Army Expand backpack, as you can see on the screen, or if you are listening if you're just listening to this, which I understand some people might be, I don't know why you would. I can't imagine anything worse than just listening to my voice for however long I do this. But yeah. So BZ are doing a giveaway, which is it's the standard sort of the standard typical sort of way of doing a giveaway. All you have to do is like the BZ Paintball Facebook page, share the post, and tag 3 friends. Now, as I said, I don't know why I'm sharing this stuff, because quite frankly, I want that bag. It is a very nice bag, and I could see me rocking that to a paintball field. It would be very, very useful. But, ladies and gentlemen, I am too nice of a person to not share this. So, you can win an HK Army Expand backpack, which regular retail price is $100 dues. To win, I've already gone through that bit, so let's just get on to what it is that you are actually winning. Well, if you're actually watching the stream, you can see the poster there, the picture there that BZ have taken for the main picture, but I thought that I would go one step further and actually follow the link. Now, if I've done this right, you can go over here and you can see up on the BZ Facebook page that bag is currently up for £100. So if you get in on this, and it doesn't cost you anything to enter this competition, you can win yourself an HK Army Expand backpack. Now again, if we follow this and we go in and have a bit of a look at it here, which for some reason it's not wanting to do, there we go. So this is what you are getting. You could use this for just a small kit bag if you want to go away for the weekend. Or, if you've already got yourself a massive huge kit bag somewhere, no, go away. Go away there, pop-up. If you already have yourself a massive kit bag, like I have across the room here, you could use this to stick your nice clean clothes in for after the event, or for changing it when you get back to the hotel room, or when you go back to your car, or something like that. But, let's have a look, let's have a bit more of a detailed look at the bag itself. So you flick on the first one, and you have yourself a nice big main compartment there. You can even see it actually has the barrel loops on as well, so you've got proper little compartments there to store stuff on. Obviously, how it holds on your back. Now that bit on the bottom there, I'm assuming that is actually a pop-out part for to hold maybe your cleats, or for to hold your dirty clothes or something like that. Nice compartment there on the top for specifically for holding your gogs, which it's nice when bags have that, especially if you're not ramming your bag full of stuff, because masks are the most important piece of kit that you are actually going to have with you on field, or when you're playing paintball. Your mask is the most important piece of gear that you are ever going to have. It is massively important to have, and you want to make sure that that is kept nice and safe. So next up, there is obviously just a side shot of the bag. You've got your 2 little storage pouches on the side, and I believe the next picture. Oh, nope, it's not. There is a nice little marker compartment in there, which I'm kind of curious as if does that actually have marker wrote on the side of it? Because if it does, and I win the bag, I will specifically not put markers in there. I think I might use it for storing Mars bars or something. And as most gear has to have at the minute, a little patch panel, so you can you can rep your team, you can show off the little banners and little stickers and stuff that you want people to see. There, give yourself a little bit of customization, a little bit of individuality. I like to see it. And finally, just the backpack itself. So yeah, for the sake of liking a Facebook page, for sharing a post and tagging a couple of mates, that's awesome. You know, why don't you? Why don't you be a little bit naughty and just tag people that, you know, like tag your partner, tag your parents, and then if you win, they can give you the bag. Yeah, if one of them wins, they can just give the bag straight to you. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you will all go over and check that out, because why the hell not? Yeah, like I said, for the sake of liking a post, sharing a post, you can't go wrong with that. $100 dues on a backpack. They're not cheap. Yeah, get in on that. Poseidon says, yeah, you still need to get yourself a KP3. If you're talking about the newer KP3s, I believe the Chandyman had one a while back, and personally, I thought it was a really nice marker. Now, it's not a very high-end pump, but it does actually still have very good performance. Again, it's probably one that, if I had the money, and if I would probably get one just for a bit of a laugh. My main problem at the minute is I don't play enough for to justify going out and buying loads and loads more markers. But I would definitely consider having a KP3. If you're talking about an original KP3, a Sheridan KP3, now that's a different matter. I would have a Sheridan KP3 just as a wall hanger if that was the only reason I could have one. I would much rather take one out and actually use it on a field, but I would love to get my hands on one. So, now I will just close some of these things here. Close that. Right, so I want to give a little shout out as well to I did share a post of this the other day. Super Fives, their shop is very close to opening, and there is a link in the description down below. There should be a link in the description down below if any of you guys want to go and check that out. Paul says, Mag pre-ordered. Far too much arm twisting on here these days. Right. But yeah. Well, what can I say? You know, in fact, I suppose we have actually come to the point of the day, well, we've come to the point of the show where, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to give a shout out to today's sponsor of the show, which goes to me, because I'm the only person that's putting money into this at the moment. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to just head over to the sponsors page and just spend loads and loads of money and just make me a YouTube millionaire, that would be glorious indeed. No, yes, I plan on keeping this sponsor free for as long as I possibly can. So, as far as I'm concerned, I have no allegiance other than if I like someone. I am not receiving any money off anyone, so I would like to keep it that way so that you can, within a certain amount of a certain amount of faith, that you know if I'm telling you that I like something, it's because I actually like something. And it is also illegal, I believe, for me to not disclose that I'm taking money off someone. So, there you go. Right. Poseidon, you're thinking of getting some Exalt-free flexes and some Exalt-free flexes. I'm not sure what they are. And some HK elbow pads as well, and the Virtue gear bags are better than the HK ones. Well, I mean, as far as saying the Virtue gear bags are better than the HK ones, I really can't say it because I haven't actually owned either. But I would imagine a lot of it is personal preference, unless one is genuinely terrible build quality. But I know some people like some stuff and some people don't. So until I get my hands on one of those kit bags and I can honestly review it myself. All I can do is go by what other people are saying. Richie says, "Sod you and my t-shirts." Indeed, indeed, my friend. Science says you can give us a shout out on Insta. Feel free, my friend. If you want to give me a shout out, feel free. It's always much appreciated. Right. So next up, and I can see myself in the webcam here, and my forehead always looks very, very shiny. But it's just because it's so hot in this room. But I don't know what I can do about that. I could open a window, but then the neighbours would hear us talking to myself for hours on end, and they'd already think I'm weird enough. Right. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, Super 5s are very close to opening their shop, which I believe is going to be on the south coast. So definitely want to go check out if you're in the area. Bear in mind, because I think the south coast is reasonably lacking when it comes to shops. I know that there is a few shops further down south, but you don't seem to have many that I'm aware of. But anyway, yeah, bear that one in mind. Good evening there, Tony, and also good evening, Colin. Colin says, set up a Patreon. You know, Colin, and ladies and gentlemen, in all honesty, I have considered setting up a Patreon. But to be perfectly honest, I do not feel that the content that I'm producing is worth me setting up a Patreon. Colin says, let the viewers sponsor you. Well, as I said, Colin, I do not feel that the content that I'm producing is worth people subscribing to me. If I was creating better quality content and it was actually costing me a lot of money to do, then I could justify it more that way. Or if I was producing something that was more special, then maybe I could justify it. But at the minute, I cannot justify. I wouldn't feel right setting up a Patreon at the minute. It's very nice of you to suggest that, but I don't know. At the minute, I'd rather, if people do want to support my channel, and even then it's only if you like the stuff. At the minute, it would be maybe just buy one of the t-shirts that I'm putting on Teespring, but that is, it's only if you like them. I wouldn't want people to buy them just to support my channel or anything like that. Only buy it if you like it. But talking of the t-shirts, I do have some things in the works, but we'll see what happens. Colin says, my forehead is huge. Well, Colin, yes, it is. It's slowly getting bigger. I also believe that's another that's what she said moment, isn't it? Yeah, my forehead is slowly getting bigger, and I am actually getting closer and closer to the point where I feel like just shaving all my hair off, going full cue ball, much like yourself. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is I'm worried about getting domed when I go play paintball. I mean, it's not too bad when you got a bit of hair, but I don't know how that's gonna feel if you get like clipped right on the top of the head with no hair. And I don't really fancy wearing a beanie all the time. It might get a bit warm. Poseidon, put a fan in here. You know what it is, mate? I think that may be that might be the final solution for this. I might have to actually do that because it does get rather hot in here. Colin says, but we might think it's worth it. Yes, might. And it is something that I'll think about, but for the meantime, I can't. I don't know. Richie Wong, a PayPal donate button. Just look at that empty account. No? Just look at that empty account. Not sure what you mean by that. I understand the PayPal donate button. But, Colin again, not for this one, but the technical problem stream is great content. Oh, thanks, thank you. I feel wounded by that. I actually feel wounded by that, Colin. Paul, It is when they get grown-ups in. I would actually agree with that as well, yeah. And Richie says he's only here to abuse. Yes, yes, Richie. I'm well aware that you are. But, right, ladies and gentlemen, on a more serious note, it is time for this week's video shout-out. Now, this one I came across, I think it must have been last night. I happened to be browsing on Facebook. I saw like a guy share up a video on, I think it was how big is mechanical paintball. A guy called Chris shared a video up and saying that he just tried out the EMEC, and most of the time, I can't watch everything, but I'll sometimes watch videos if I feel, if I'm in the mood or if I've got time. And this one, I was scrolling through, and I've mentioned stuff like along this lines before, but something caught my eye on this, and it was, I'm trying to think what the name was. It was Tank Chair. Now, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before on the show before, but I have a bit of a soft spot for tank chairs. I think that they are an amazing thing for getting players out there that wouldn't, in a lot of instances, necessarily be able to get out there. So when I see these things come up, you can almost guarantee I will watch it. And it turns out that Chris, the guy that had shared this video, his YouTube channel, and I actually love the YouTube channel name in itself, is Handy Capable Paintball. Now, Chris is a disabled paintballer. I don't know what the extent is of his disability, and I don't think it would be right for us to ask what the extent of his disability is. But it seems that Chris does have a difficult time getting around. Now, that has not stopped him, and this is why I love paintball. Chris has not let his disabilities stop him from taking part in paintball. And you see videos where you'll have a disabled player might go out and just play in the woods. No, not Chris. Chris has been playing tournament paintball for longer than I have been. Chris was playing tournament paintball before I started playing paintball. The bloke, he's going out there and he is mowing faces. And at some point, he is getting his hands on a tank chair, and he is now doing the Paintball Tank Chair Chronicles, where he is going out and he is playing paintball in a tank chair. And like I said, this is why I love paintball. Because in paintball, it does not matter if you're a man, it does not matter if you're gender doesn't matter, your race doesn't matter, the disability doesn't have to matter. If you can hold a marker, in fact, in some instances, like with these tank chairs, you don't even need to be able to hold the weight of the marker. You can just pull a trigger or press a micro switch. You can get out and you can go play it. And this guy is, in my opinion, this guy should be a role model. And he's massively undersubbed. And he's doing something that I think more people need to see, because if you've ever done sales on paintball, the amount of people that go, I can't do that, I'm not fit enough. Or I can't do that, it hurts. This guy is putting me to shame. This guy is a proper legend and deserves. If you haven't already, please go check in the description down below. There is a link to the guy's YouTube channel. Go check him out. Just go sub to him. Watch his content, because if the next time you hear somebody say, "Oh, you play paintball," I couldn't do that. I'm not fit enough. Show them this guy's videos. Because, like I said, I think more people need to see this. More people need to see that paintball is actually incredibly inclusive. We're not all guys that want to dress up in military fatigues and just, like, kick doors in and smash people's teeth in or anything like that. We're not all, we're not just people that want to do drive-by shootings of innocent little kids and things like this. Paintball is actually something that's very serious and very inclusive. Because once you've got your mask on, all that matters is if you are going to step up beside the person that's beside you and fight alongside them and fight against that person on the other end of the field. That's all that matters in this game, and that is something that needs to be celebrated. That's something that needs to be applauded. So please, guys, go check his YouTube channel out, because he's producing good content. He hasn't got much content out at the minute, but yeah, go check his stuff out. It's definitely worth a watch. But right, so Richie Wong says doesn't hurt much, you know. Oh, there's in the having a chrome dome. Ben says lamp beanie for Albert. I wonder, you could actually, I suppose you could crochet a nice lamp beanie. Colin says, here we get better viewer numbers. You do indeed. I think people definitely want to tune in more to see people having a bit of a conversation than just tuning in for to see me spewing rubbish. But yeah, guys, so yes, please go and check out the Paintball Tank Chronicles by Handy Capable Paintball. It's definitely worth checking out. And like I said, the next time you hear somebody say, I can't do that, show them this guy. Right, so I think the final thing that I actually have prepared to talk about, which means that we are now we are 50 minutes into the show and I am pretty much out of talking points. So after this point, it's mine and it's up to me to just kind of improvise. So the final thing that I want to talk about today is Mayhem Paintball. After their unfortunate event where they lost one of their game zones to a fire, they have been working on a new game zone. And for those that some of you will know about it, some of you won't. It is Call of Duty 4 Shipment. Now, for those that are aware of it, Call of Duty 4 Shipment was kind of one of those iconic maps for to play COD 4 on. You always had people doing stuff like quick scoping in one of the corridors because it's a little bit bigger than just the shipment area, the map in the game. But the shipment game zone, the shipment section of it itself, is fantastic in its own right. But yeah, I mean, you had people doing quick scoping and stuff, running in amongst the building, running in amongst the containers and fighting in there. It was a great map. And this came out, this would have been out way before stuff like, this would have been out way before stuff like Nuketown or anything like that. I mean, Nuketown became iconic in its own right, but I think it was when COD 4 was out, you had stuff like, was it Rust? Was COD 4 as well? But you had some iconic maps in their own right before then. So the shipment game zone is underway at Mayhem, and as I understand it, now I would have liked to have shared the original video that was shared by Ronnie on the Mayhem walk-on page. Unfortunately, Facebook is being a complete arsehole today and isn't working. So I'm going to have to share this with you instead, which is just an aerial view of the game zone itself. But they are about halfway there with the containers for the shipment game zone at Mayhem. Now, I'll just flick over to this again, so that those of you that might not be familiar, this is the game zone, this is effectively what the staff at Mayhem are trying to recreate. And it's going to be great to fight amongst, because if you've ever fought in a paintball game, at a paintball game in a storage container, those things are loud when they're being shot at. So that is gonna be echoing like mad inside of there, and that it's gonna be great fun. And I'm really hoping that I'm hoping to attend Mayhem next year myself, and I really want to play in that. I think that's gonna be a great game zone to play in. The fact that they're recreating game zones from a game that is as iconic as COD 4. That's really nice. So right, I'm just gonna drop back over onto the main screen, and let's drop back into the comments here. So, right, Tony. Tony says that or a purple hat for a purple Brendan. Well, I'm pretty sure that we could sort Albert out with a purple beanie. Make a beanie so Albert looks like an anglerfish. Now that, I bet you can actually buy an anglerfish hat. Martello says, would anyone like a mug? For those that may not have seen, if you go over and check out the Paintball Mag Facebook page, there are mugs on offer at the moment. I believe it is £5 if you are a Patreon of the Paintball Mag, and is it £6.50, Martello, if you are not a member of the, if you aren't a subscriber of the Patreon of the Paintball Mag. But yeah, go check it out. It is, there's a couple that I kind of like. I think it's like there's a blue and orange ball that I kind of like. The Star Wars ones are kind of cool, but Star Wars isn't really my thing. I'm thinking more just one of the PBM mugs with just a splat on it. I think they've got a couple of splats of paint on them. That's more my kind of style. Nothing too overly showy, but also showy enough that everyone knows what it is. But I'm gonna have to try and work out how I'm gonna get one off you. Paul says he would love a mug. Tony, who doesn't like a good mug for a good cup of Yorkshire tea? That's it. It's got to be Yorkshire tea, or Tetley's, or PG Tips, or frankly any tea as long as it's tea. I need to get myself a little kettle in here so when I'm doing my live streams I can just make myself a brew. What else we got? You can do them with a free cupper at CBBS. You can do them with a free cup, a free cupper. Right, sorry, I had my mouse in the wrong place there. Misread that. I suppose, Martel, you could do them. They post them out if you're posting them with just like a free tea bag in them. Albert, did I see Wolf's video on the paintball tank? No, Albert, I didn't see Wolf's video on it. I did see and I actually shared it on my Facebook page. I saw Alabaster Slim's video from a paintball tank. Now I don't know if that was actually the same tank or not. It didn't look like it was from the thumbnail of Wolf's video, but I have fallen behind on my YouTube viewing for the week, which I'm trying to catch up on, but listening to Dungeons and Dragons live streams that last like for 3 hours, I fall behind on things. I really need to get out and about more and listen to more stuff. And then I can actually watch the videos that I'm interested in watching. Right. Tony says, I mean, cup of tea means that you're down. Yep, that's it. I'm good for a cup of tea anytime. Martello says it is actually $6.99 if you are not a Patreon of the Paintball magazine. So even at $6.99, I think to have yourself a nice mug that you can take to work or somewhere, and that's going to represent the paintball industry, I think that's a very nice touch. But, however, no change is given. I don't actually blame you for that one. I can't expect you to carry around a bag full of 1p's. So, Albert, Dex, if not at Paintfest, you'll get us one at Mayhem and you'll drop it off. Well, is that you saying that you're actually going to come up north of the wall there, Albert? And Martello says Twinings because you're from the south. Yeah, and I bet you drink shandy and gin too. Not at the same time, though, obviously. Paul, Twinings, well, ain't you posh? That's it. It's I think. There's a nice brand of tea around here that they also deliver biscuits. And they actually have little vans that go around and deliver tea and biscuits to you. Not just like one cup, obviously. You've got to buy them in bulk. It's not Richmond because they make sausages. It doesn't matter. This is a paintball podcast. This is a paintball show. This is nothing. This is not supposed to be about the best types of tea. It'll come to us in a bit, and I'll shout it out then. Tony says, more of a posh thing isn't Twinings. Yes, it is. And Richie, coffee rules. Yes, well, coffee is, in fact, a rather delicious drink. But I find, coffee takes a little bit of getting used to. And there is definitely a difference between different brands. And if you're used to one coffee and you go over to another coffee, and we're getting away from talking about paintball again here, so... yeah. Right. So, I can... In fact, no, I'm just going to leave that on now, and I've lost my mouse again. Richie, nothing wrong with gin. There's no right with gin either, though. Isn't gin like a bored housewife drink? Paul says, Lipton's? No, that's iced tea. That's not posh. That's just something that you get from, like, Greg's, so... Albert says, yeah, mate, I'll let you... I'll let you know which mug you want and delivered. Ah, and Ben, Ringtons. Yes, it is Ringtons. Is the posh brand round my way, where they actually deliver biscuits to you. Yes. Thank you very much for that, Ben. And also, thank you very much, Albert. Thank you. I'll let you know which mug I want then. And, yeah. You can call in, we'll have a cuppa. Yeah, you see, everyone knows what it is now that it's been mentioned. Martello says, whiskey and coffee goes. Indeed. Whiskey with tea, not so much. No, it doesn't really. Oh, you brought us the dog. Come here, dog. And he's gone. He doesn't like being touched. He just kind of like disappears again straight away. And now it looks like I'm just making it up again. I'm gonna try and catch him on stream at some point. I might actually have to just like chase him down and lift him on. Are you gonna come here? Come here. Come on. Come on. Let us see the ball. Come on. Come here. Come on. Come here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you can actually see him there or not. But there is actually a dog there. Right. Ben says, got a van a few doors away, you had to check. What? A van with ringtones in it? Or did you think I'd come to get you? Hello, wife. Right, son, I think that is pretty much all I have to talk about this week. So, has anybody got anything that they would like to talk about? In fact, I did actually have a subject suggested to us earlier on today, and I totally forgot about it up until right at that moment. So, thank you very much for that, Richie Wong. I believe it was you that suggested it. Talking about air safety when it comes to air tanks. Well, and I don't actually know where to start with it. The simple thing to do is, if you do not know what you are doing with a paintball markers, or with a paintball air tank, or well, with compressed air in general, for that matter, don't mess with it. People forget just how dangerous paintball air tanks or compressed air itself can actually be. When people get leaks in macro line, or they'll get leaks coming out of a marker or something, well, the first thing that they think to do is run their thumb over it, or I've seen people lick markers and things like that, so that you can feel, because the tongue is a very sensitive organ, and they'll lick it, they'll lick the marker to find out exactly where a leak is, or they'll do things like that. That's a surefire way to end up giving yourself, I think it's an aneurysm, or it's an embolism, where compressed air can be that high pressure that it can actually force its way through your skin, into your bloodstream. It goes through your body, finds its way into your heart, and you keel over. It is not something that should be messed with. If you are not sure, find somebody that is more experienced, that does know what they're doing with their equipment, and get them to give you a bit of a rundown on what to do. Some sites, going back probably 5 years now, actually used to do air training courses where they'd sit everyone down, they'd teach us about air safety for your air tank, and basically the idea was that nobody was supposed to fill that tank unless they had done an air training course. I did a couple of them, and they weren't, it didn't give you qualification or anything. It just gave you a slip of paper that was laminated, had your name on it. It was signed off to say by the course instructor, or it was normally it was the site owner, that saying that you were safe to fill your own air tank. They explained the dangers of things like sticking your tongue on air leaks and stuff like that, but it was a really nice thing that used to be done, and at the time it kind of built you up with a little bit more confidence that the people that you were on site with had a bit more knowledge about what they're doing. And it's a shame that that's kind of gone by the wayside recently. Richie's just saying, it seems nowadays there's little advice or education given to the dangers of compressed air. And I would totally agree with that, Richie. Gaffs, we are currently talking about compressed air and the dangers of it, and the fact that people don't seem to know as much now. And I suppose, en masse, people don't actually know all that much in general. But it is good that people actually do learn a little bit about it. Things like, I think a good one that it happens to every player at some point, but a burst disc will eventually go. And it's things like how to change a burst disc, to know what size burst disc to replace it with. Can you replace it with a lower burst disc? No, you replace it with correct size burst disc. Or do you replace it with a higher one? Well, no, because there's a reason why there's a lower size burst disc in there. It's that it's kind of along the same sort of lines of not replacing a fuse and a plug with a higher volt plug. It's calibrated to burn out at a certain size, and just like a burst disc calibrated to blow out at a certain pressure. Albert, that was Andy at YPC's idea and was ran at the Super 6 events. Well, that was it. I wasn't sure if Andy was the only person or if anyone else had actually done that as well. But I can remember doing the air training courses at YPC myself. Not teaching them, obviously, just taking part in them. And I think it was a fantastic idea, and that is actually something that I would like to see brought back. Now, if we could get more independent sites to get on board with possibly doing something along the lines of an air training course that was reasonably standardized, I think that would be a really nice feature to have, and it would probably be a little bit more. It would probably make players feel a little bit better if at the beginning of a big game, even if there was just a video that was made where you could put it up at the beginning of the day, have all the players just sit and watch the video, and then they get a thing saying that they've done the course. I do think that would be a really nice thing to do. Gaff says, do you guys use the 30 CI tank from Dye? It's not available in America. Gaffs, well, personally I don't know if anyone else does, but if you give us a second, I've actually got my tank here. I've been messing around with this lately. Just get rid of that. I think my tank's a pure energy one. It's been that long since I've actually had it out of the tank cover that I can't remember. Yeah, pure energy air tank. It is. This was born January, February, March, April 2007. So to be perfectly honest, this tank hasn't got that much longer left. So this is basically the last little run of this air tank, and then it's gone. I'm pretty sure I can't test this again. I believe with a carbon fiber tank, and even I'll probably have this wrong, but if the carbon fiber tank, it's a 15-year lifespan, or it might be can't be a 15-year lifespan. This is a. I'm not even actually sure now. I think you can only test them again 3 times. But yeah, it's yeah, it's actually been that long since I've talked about it. Even I can't remember. And again, this is why I think that sites should be doing air training. It's important, and it's also important to know what you actually should be looking for if you're using tanks, because I always use a tank cover with mine, and you should be, when you're looking at your tank, you should be looking at any chips that actually expose any of the, if it's a fiberglass tank, you should be looking for any chips in the outer layer that actually expose any of the fiberglass wiring. If there's basically any damage to the tank, if there's any damage to the rig. In the UK, I believe we're supposed to have 2 burst discs on your tank. If there's if mine's got a slight crack in the protection of the gauge, it's not a massive issue because it's just a gauge. But overall, there shouldn't be any visible damage to your air tank. If there's damage to the tank but not the rig, then you can probably get away with just swapping out the tank and saving the rig, because the rigs aren't cheap themselves. If it's the other way around, then obviously you can scrap the rig, save the tank, because again, they're not cheap. I mean, I think depending on what kind of tank you buy now, they can be something like about 150 quid for an air tank now. I mean, they are not cheap. It's you can buy like 3 or 4 just steely air tanks for the same price as 1 carbon tank, but this is a lot lighter than a steely would be. Ben says, "Yep, dies in 2022." That's it. I'm sure this has already been tested like 3 times though, or this was the 3rd time this one was tested, and it's actually due to go. It's due to be tested again, if I can get it tested again, on January, February, March, April, May, June 2020. So, Ben says 5-year span, 3 tests from the born date. Right. I'm sure I've had mine tested more than it's needed to be. Then, so if it can only be tested 3 times, then yeah, mine would be dead. Mine will be dead when it comes to being tested again, because I must have had it tested twice within too short of a period of time. Right, I'm going to just quickly scroll up here, because I noticed Martello posted a comment and I didn't actually get time to read it there, because I was talking about other stuff. Giving too much gin to a woman is like putting petrol into a diesel car. Yeah, guaranteed at some point in the night it's just going to break down. Well, yeah. Alright. Richie says, it's mainly 68 tanks here, maybe 13 for the Magfed weirdos. That's it. There is a lot of Magfed players that are going for like the 13 cubic inch tanks, because quite frankly, they're ideal for fitting in stocks. I mean, Gaffs, you'll probably know that yourself. The smaller tanks are ideal for kind of hiding away in markers, but obviously with a smaller tank you have a restriction on how many shots you're going to get, which isn't so much of an issue if you're playing general Magfed, or even it's especially not an issue if you're playing with First Strike and you are really, really limiting your shots. But for most players that are going to be using semi-autos, sorry, not semi-autos, most players that are going to be using like tournament style markers, or even some of the sort of more semi-automatic Woods Ball typical markers, things like the A5, the X7, for players that are going to be using those, then they're generally going to be shooting a lot more, so actually want the capacity to be able to last for a lot longer. But yeah, a lot of them are, I think it's a 68 to 1.1, a 48 something like a 0.8, and I can't remember what 1.5 is. It's a 1.5, must be something like about an 80 or something like that. Ben says, still dot PI tanks, but regs are a different matter. I'm not too sure on that, because I'll freely admit, I don't know that much myself. And if you guys actually know a little bit more, then I will bow down to your superior knowledge. The most that I really know when it comes to tanks is like 15-year lifespan, that it can only be tested a certain number of times, and to look for damage. Also, which I suppose I can point out on the stream, if you buy a tank, especially if you buy a second-hand tank, what you want to be looking for is the date, the birth date, and it'll be on the tank somewhere. You see on here, I don't know how much these are going to be able to see, but you've got all that right in there. Now I realise I'm probably teaching me granny to suck eggs in a lot of instances here, but for those that don't know, so you've got all this writing around here. Now I'm going to flick to OBS so I can actually see in real time what you are going to be able to see. Right, now if I scan around there, you can see 2007-04. So that is that's the birth date of this tank. So this tank was actually made in 2004. This tank was made 3 years before I started playing. No, sorry, 2007. This year was made the year that I started playing. So if I have tested it too many times, then that's my fault, and this tank would have actually lasted us a few more. But in all honesty, this is it's actually a bit of a heavy tank for the fact that it's a 48. It's quite a small tank. It's actually quite heavy, and I've been thinking about upgrading for a while. I'm pretty sure that my 68 that I have in the loft and storage is actually lighter than this. So I've been thinking about swapping over to that for a while. But that one, oh nope. I'll just put that down there. That one does actually need tested at the moment. But yeah, I think it's quite an important one that, well, it's not massively important, but most players should know where they can get a tank tested. If you are in the northeast, there is or at least in the Newcastle sort of area, there is a business called Cormerton, which they can actually do paintball air tank testing. And I think they're relatively cheap as well. That's where me and most of the guys from Nest actually take our gear. Right, so now I'll drop back over onto this, so I actually see comments again in real time. Oh, jump down in the comments there. Gaffs, you saw somewhere it's a little bigger than a 13 CI tank. Well, that's it. A 30 CI tank is probably like the size of those peanut tanks. They're probably a little bit bigger than probably a little bit bigger than like a baseball. Which, when I was playing tournament paintball, I really wanted one of those because I thought that would have been quite a nice little setup. Or actually, it could be. I have seen them where the look very similar. They're quite long and thin, very similar to the 13 CI tanks. Obviously, just more rounded in the same way, in the way that carbon tanks generally are. But it's a little bit fatter and a little bit longer. It could be those, unless I'm mistaken. Richie Wong, big reminders needed for people not trying to hook up their 3K tanks to 4K fill whips. Yes, that is something, Richie. I think that is definitely something that should be pointed out at big games. And again, I feel like some big games could really do with posting like an air training course again, because it's something that all players should be looking out for. Is players that don't necessarily know what they're doing, they've maybe been shown how to fill their air tank, and that's where they've been left. Those players then come along and they'll just hook on a steely tank to a 4.5 air fill. Now, are the tanks rated for that? No. Could they take it? Probably. They are probably tested to that, but no, they most definitely should not. And if you ever see a rental player hooking a steely tank up to a 4.5 air fill, you should try and stop them. and just be nice about it, explain the situation. Those players, that 99.999% are going to be perfectly fine and understand why you've stopped them. If they are kicking off, or if they decide to be a bit nasty about it, then I would explain to a ref. There should be somebody working the fill stations, or working near the fill stations, that can take over from that. But yes, that is definitely something that should be taught when it comes to working on gear. Poseidon, yours is a fuel tank. As I understand it, the fuel tanks are incredibly light. I believe it was Colin that had a fuel tank on his Tipman crossover. I think it was the Tipman crossover VXR or something, or VSX or something like that, and a Pinocchio hopper, and it felt like I barely had a marker in my hands. That setup was stupidly light. Yeah, again, thank you very much for that information there, Ben. 5-year lifespan, 3 tests from the born date. Again, also there, Richie's saying this similar thing. 5-year lifespan, some have 10, and the old Stackos were 5 years and then binned. Can you imagine spending like 100 and like nearly 200 quid on a tank and regulator, and then after 5 years having to bin it? Oh, you kind of disappointing. Some first-rate hero tanks are tanks for life. I have heard that with some tanks that they do just never need tested again. I believe is it the 13 CI tanks that don't ever need to be tested because they're so small and so thick that you just don't ever have to retest them. They fall under the categories for what needs testing or something. Right, Gaffs. The name is the Diecore 15 CI 4500. Right, I'm gonna check that out and I'll bring it up on screen. Of course, I forget the name halfway through writing it. Alright. 15 CI. Oh, click the wrong button there. Images. Yeah, that is the one that I've seen, if it's that one anyway. I'll bring it over onto the other screen here. You see, now that, if you could get a 45 fill at a lot of places, that, I would say, is probably going to get you... a 45 fill, and that's probably going to get you 300, maybe 400 shots or something. Which I think, for a Magved marker, is very, very good. I'd be kind of curious as to if you put a low pressure regulator on that and stuck it on something like a G6R, as to what kind of number of shots you could get out of something like that. Because I mean that's a tiny little tank, but if you can get 100 shots on average, depending on the marker, with a Steely 13 CI, on like a 3000 fill, adding an extra 1500 psi onto that, yeah, I would guess on a good marker you might be looking around with 300 shots. Maybe. I think definitely I would say if it's like maybe with a pump, you might be looking at the 300 mark. You might be struggling to hit the 300 mark with a semi-automatic, but with a pump where you're doing most of the mechanical work, yeah, I think you get more shots of that. But yeah, I wouldn't mind getting my hands on one of those, and I think the fact that that's going to be nice and lightweight as well is something that would be a real advantage for Magfed players. So you're not carrying around that extra weight of carrying the steel. I suppose you're carrying the extra weight of a slightly larger amount of material, with it being a slightly larger tank, if that makes sense. But I wouldn't mind getting my hands on one of those. I think I could try that. Yeah, I would be more than happy with trying one of those. So I'll drop back to this. Poseidon, you have two regs, low pressure reg and a high pressure one as well. Right, so are you running those on different tanks, or do you swap as needed? I mean, ideally, you don't really want to be swapping as needed because tanks should be torqued in. You shouldn't really just be twisting a tank reg in and then leaving it at that. They should be torqued in properly. Oh man. Martello says Oklahoma. Is that? Yeah, Oklahoma 2020. We are running a trip. Last ever D-Day event. I can't believe D-Day is ending next year. It's really disappointing that. I would love to like, be able to tag along, but unfortunately, I don't think I can afford it. Richie says, at Gaffs, you've just checked your die tank and it's pie stamped for Europe, not .dot or TC. It's made by Armatech, nice and light. Well, that's it. The die tanks, as far as I know, good quality gear. It's the only thing that I ever would say, in my experience, the only die gear I've ever really had any problems with has been die markers, and even then it's been kind of limited. But I haven't had any experience with any of the new die gear, so I really can't say if it's good or bad. Yes, Ben, I know I'm a pleb. Richie Wong, dead end of April 2020. 2022. Ben, 20 snots. Yeah, is that how much it is for to get tested at Cormerton? And the XVR. Yep, that would have been Colin's marker, yeah. Richie Wong, bigger tanks need testing, but they don't have bin dates. Yeah, they don't have bin dates on the tank, do they? So you've got to work that out yourself. Yeah. Poseidon, once a tank dies, you're going to get it cut in half and then make a pencil pot and a gun stand. Well, yep. evil air tank. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember where that air tank came from. I can't remember if it was mine that I gave to Chan and Chan turned it into a pen pot, or I can't remember if Chan just gave us a pen pot that he made out of an air tank. Either way. But I do also have a Chandyman gun stand made out of an air tank, and I have a couple of an air tank that was cut in half, right sort of lengthways, to make into a bonsai tree pot at some point. But I need to make some stands for it. Right. Ben, the 13 CI ones you struggle. 13 CI ones you struggle over here. The regs are different to tanks. It's the tank that needs testing. Yeah. Albert, but that tank is the same price as the 1 litre. Well, yeah, this is it. You can't really. Can you justify buying a 13 cubic inch tank that's the same price as a 1 litre tank? I mean, personally, I would just go for the 1 litre tank. And if I did want to run a MagFed setup, then I'd be inclined for to get like a tack vest and just run a remote line if that was what I wanted to do. Although at the same time, a remote line, they can get in the way, so it's a toss up on what you want to do. And if you're only running a MagFed setup and that is all you ever intend on running, then certainly a 13 CI tank is probably bang, or 15 CI tank is going to be bang on what you probably want, unless you decide to go down the role of playing like a heavy gunner sort of role. But I don't know if I could justify buying a 15 CI, even if it does filter 4,500 for like £200, when you could just buy numerous 13 CI tanks for not even half that. I think a 13 CI tank, you used to be able to get them for about £30. I don't know what they are now, but you used to be able to get them for that sort of price. And that's going to give you a very, very nice light setup. I might actually look into get myself a 13 CI. I've been thinking about sort of ditching the CO2 in my vertical stock class setup and just leaving the stick feed and running a tank on the back instead. But I haven't decided on that yet, so I might change my mind. I know the last time I did try putting a tank on me. Last time I tried putting a tank on my Phantom and putting a regulator on it, it for some reason went full auto. So, Gaffs, you meant the 13 CI, so you're not sure. And according to Albert, he says BZ selling for £179. Damn, $179 for a, or £179 for a tank that is that small. I appreciate, you know, it's still probably the same amount of work to build a 15 CI that sort of size, you know, with carbon fiber. It's probably the same, almost the same amount of work for to build one of those as it is a 1 litre tank, but I just can't justify. I couldn't justify that. That is, I couldn't justify £179. I'd rather just buy a bigger tank. I'd rather buy a bigger tank and carry the extra weight. Gaffs, but it's not allowed in America. So Gaffs, do you know the reasoning why the little tank isn't allowed? Is it just because it can't pass? It isn't. Is it ASTM standard? Richie Wong says, looking at it, it's a rebranded Armatech as well. Yeah. Poseidon, you use ninja eggs. Well, Poseidon, if you're using ninja eggs, I can't remember which reg it is, but Ninja did used to produce an adjustable reg where you could dismantle it. Now, it wasn't an on-the-fly thing. You had to be in a safe zone, or you had to be somewhere where you could sit down and work on it. But you could actually dismantle the reg at one point and change it to between higher or lower pressure. I think it was so you could like boost it up to very high pressures. So if you were shooting some like old school markers that required very high pressure, you could actually get that out of a normal regulator instead of having to use one of these big old chunky things that that were sort of popular in the earlier days, like the old, I think it was the MacDev rigs and stuff, where they were big solid chunky things. In fact, I actually had one of those on my Automag for a while, and it was, if you cranked it right up to the sort of the operating pressure that Automags like, over 900 psi to try and get a response trigger, I could not turn the gas on. The ESA was that hard to adjust that the only way I could use it was to drain the air out of the tank, and then turn if I wanted to make if I wanted to use it, I had to press it down or press the valve. I had to turn it on effectively and then go fill my air tank up, and once it was on, it stayed on. Gaffs, you want to go to D-Day? Well, you should get yourself along, because I mean, obviously, it won't be as much travel for you, but get yourself along there and go and meet Martello. Go meet up with some of the guys that he's traveling with. Poseidon, you have an evil pod pack. I'm not sure. Are evil. It must be like an older pack then, because are evil still actually even making any gear? I'm sure if they are. Paul, got some old school drops for the stand on the bonsai tank. Yeah, that could actually work. I wonder if I was to actually get some matching gun stands or some matching drop forwards. If I get Chan to fix them to the bottom of the underside of the air tank, and yeah, have them as like little feet for it. That could work. Albert says, yeah, he has an evil twin. Not familiar with that one either. Richie Wong says, or just get a 48 CI Steely. Yeah, you know what it is. If I was starting off in paintball now, and I was actually thinking about this the other day. If I had to go out and buy a setup to start and play paintball now, I'd buy an EMEC, because you can get them brand new for like 200 quid, a PAL loader, which I realise that the PAL loader system is pretty brand new, but it's an agitated hopper, and you can get them for £16, and a Steely air tank, and that's exactly what I would use as my beginner setup. And I don't think for that, unless you decided you want to get like tournament style play, you wouldn't need anything more than that for years. Poseidon, you got to fire a CCI Phantom for the first time now. You really want one? Yep, they are lovely markers. Richie Wong, borrow my 13 CI to see how it feels. Ooh, misses. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. I didn't realize you had a 13 CI, Richie. It's not dot stamped. Well, I thought isn't dot tanks not banned in the well, not necessarily banned, but isn't it dot tanks that we can't use over here anyway? Me too, Martello. Right, Richie Wong. Ninja did the super high pressure for mags, super low pressure for bob longs and vapors. Regulators, the regular was 850 output, but you could remove a shim or two to reduce it to 600 or about 450 psi output. Yeah, that's what I remember. But yeah, it was I knew that you could bump the pressure right up, for so you could end up using it on things like automags, which are very, very air hungry. Right. So then, guys, has anybody else got anything that they'd like to talk about for a little while? Because otherwise, if you haven't, then I think we might just draw this to a close here. But if anybody has anything that they'd like to talk about, anything that they'd like to share with the class, then yeah, we're gonna have a bit more banter. I'm just trying to see if there is actually anything else that is there anything I've actually got for to watch on. I'm just scrolling through my subscriptions on YouTube here, and Albert. You mentioned earlier on Wolf's paintball tank video. If it's the one that's in the thumbnail, it kind of... I'm not even sure what vehicle it is, but it looks like a proper military vehicle. But I'm not sure. It's kind of a cool little tank though. And I still would love to get round to... I would still love to have a go at building my own paintball tank for an event. It's it's something that I would love to have a go at doing. I've got a lot of ideas that bounce around in my head, but I don't know. Again, I have these ideas, but I just never know how I can actually do them. I never know how I can actually bring things to fruition. Poseidon, yeah, we're going to buy a Banzai. I'm assuming you mean Banzai. Level 1, but you'd much rather have a 3.5 Lucky 15s edition. Well, go for it. Albert, all used for a long time was a Steely. It was only this year that you got a 4500, and you've been playing 17 years. Well, this is it. I mean, as I said earlier on, like, you can get a Steely for... I don't think I actually mentioned the price. I might have, I'm not sure. But you can get a Steely for like 35 quid from, I think, BZ. For 35 quid, if you're using a sort of a like a beginner style setup, you cannot go wrong with a Steely for 35 quid. I mean, if it's 35 quid or 179 quid, there's it just depends on what you want there. Do you want a really, really high end setup where you're going to be spending lots of money on everything? You're going to be spending 179 quid on a tank. If you just want a tank that you can stick on the back of a gun, you maybe play every now and then, get yourself a Steely. It's yeah. I don't really know what more I can say for that. Richie Wong, Pi for Europe, Dot for the US. I thought that was it. And TC for Canada. Now, I didn't know that bit, so thank you very much for that there, Richie. Some tanks are tri-stamped for world use. Now, I have heard of tri-stamping before, but I don't think I've ever heard of TC for Canada. No, I don't think this will be tri-stamped. But yeah, I've definitely heard of tri-stamping before. Huh. I don't even know what I'm looking for, really. No, I've got no idea. Right. Right, so, Albert says, no, it's totally made from scratch. And he interviews the maker. Have I missed something there? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I was talking about for that to come up. But Poseidon, whether you should call a bounce or not. I think I've talked about this one before as well, but we'll go over it, and I think I can cover it reasonably quick. In my opinion, the only time, well, in my opinion, no, you shouldn't call a bounce. Unless you are playing a bouncers count game, then no, you don't call a bounce. The objective of our game is to mark each other with paint. Now, the one exception to that I would say is, I believe that most games should have. I'm more than happy for games to include surrender rules, but players and sites should remember that surrender is an option. You do not have to say, if you are given the option of surrendering, you do not have to surrender. So I think that has to be remembered. But the other option is, or the other thing is, barrel tags. I think that barrel tags should not for tournament paintball, but barrel tags should be brought in, or should be brought in as a standard rule for pretty much any sort of recreational play. And I think it's to take away the sort of somebody literally putting their marker up against you and then pulling the trigger to be vindictive. I think if you can lay your hands on another player, that player should take that as an elimination. No, that's pretty much my belief on that. As for taking a shot, if it bounces off, then you have not marked your opponent with paint, which is the main objective of the game we play. We are not playing airsoft. If you are playing airsoft, then yes, obviously, take any shot that hits you. And as I said, the one exception I would say to that is if you are playing a game where it is bouncers count. Now, that is generally going to be in more exotic sites where they're using clear paint. Now, clear paint is very hard to, or can be very hard to distinguish if you've even been hit or not, even if the ball bursts. I mean, if you're shooting clear paint and you hit somebody and it's raining, can you really go over and go, well, that wet patch wasn't rain, it was actually paint? No, you can't. So it's simpler in a game like that to just take all hits. But what I would say is, if you've been hit in an area that you're not sure about, and you can't see if it's actually a burst or not, and there's no one else around that can check you, in that instance, I would say take it. Because if you don't know if it's a hit or not, just assume that it is. and it saves embarrassment on your own half. It saves embarrassment on your side, and also saves embarrassment on any team that you're playing for, be it your regular team or the side in an event. You know, all it takes is for the accusations of for one player to be a dirty player in an event, and the entire side can be smeared. You know, you're always going to get the Reds were wiping, or things like that, or the Blues were wiping, or whatever. So yes, you know, as you know, kind of what Colin's saying there, death before dishonor. Be an honourable player when you're on the field. Sometimes, I mean, I don't like taking surrenders, but sometimes, I have actually turned and ran or shot a player who's offered as a surrender before, depending on the circumstances. But if a player has the drop on me, and they have got me banged to rights, I'll take that, because that player has earned it. Even if they weren't within barrel tag reach or anything like that, if they have got the drop on me and there is no getting out of it, then yes, I'll quite often give that player that, because as far as I'm concerned, they have earned that. Simply put, play with honor, my friends. So anyway, guys, on that nice happy note, I think I'm going to bring the show to an end here. So what I am going to do before we go is I'm going to quickly open a new tab. While I'm talking to you, I'm just going to quickly do a couple of things here. And right now I can close that one. Let's scroll down a little bit. Down a little bit. Down a little bit. And down a little bit. Right then. So then, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I think we're going to start and bring the show to a close here. However, before we go, I am indeed going to shill my merchandise. So then, I just need to flick onto this and flick onto this. Ha! Right then, so, should anybody happen to be interested, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to your attention the Albert Hall t-shirt in honour of our Albert, who happens to be in the chat with us tonight. It is indeed the Lighten. This t-shirt only comes in purple, and you can wear it in honour of Albert on the Technical Problem broadcast, hosted by myself, Albert, Colin, and the Chandy Man on a Monday night. Next up, we have the Stock Class in Drag t-shirt. This one, Can You Change My Mind? Magfed is simply just Stock Class in Drag. Change my mind. This one goes out to all the Magfed players, because yous are just playing what I've been playing for years in a slightly different style. Next up, we have Magfed. It's like Airsoft, but for big boys. Because, again, it's better than Airsoft, isn't it? And finally, we have the You Can't Play Paintball Without a Little Bit of Pain t-shirt. Which, it's just true. It does hurt a little bit, but it's just a little bit. Every shot is just a little bit. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that should do for the shilling of my paintball products. If you happen to like any of those, please feel free to get yourselves one. It supports my channel, and it just helps me. Any money that I make through those will go back into my YouTube channel. However, as I said earlier on in the show, if you're around, only buy them if you like them. If you have a suggestion of something that you might like to see, please let us know, and I'll try and sort that out for you. Yeah, I'm just checking something there. If you like the idea of something else, or if you have a suggestion, please let us know, and I'll try and fulfill your requirements. I'll try and sort your desires out. But you know, I'm not a miracle worker. There's only so much that I can do. Colin says, I know it's not Airsoft, but Your local airsoft club ran a rule where, as if you're melee killed, then you put your hand up and walk off. If you're shot at short range, you can shout hit hit hit. Yeah, basically, well, this is it. I mean, the melee kill is just a barrel tag. That's all it is. Now, I know that there is a difference between just a barrel tag and actually going in for a melee kill, but you know, it is relatively similar. Colin says, also says, as loud as you want. Oh, right, so this is a carry on from the last one. I know it's not airsoft, but your local airsoft club ran a rule where, as if, oh God's sake, I'm struggling. You know it's not airsoft, but your local airsoft club ran a rule where, as if you are melee killed, then you put your hand up and walk off. If you are shot at short range, you shout hit 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 as loud as you want. So if you can sneak up, you respect their skill to get a melee kill, and if you shoot them, you give their position away by calling out your death. Well, yeah, I think that's fair enough. And there was a guy who I used to love watching his videos on online, a guy called Rob Rubin. He was known as Tiger and did a production thing for I think it was his YouTube channel called Web Dog Radio. And there was one of his videos where he'd snuck around behind the enemy team and went from player to player, walking up to them, putting the gun barrel to their side, and just leaning in, whispering, "Please walk away quietly so I don't have to shoot you." And he got out loads and loads of players because they just kept standing up and walking off because they didn't want to be shot. Poseidon, when you knifed somebody, the person shouted hit so loud it felt like there was a flashbang. Yeah, you see, this is it. I kind of understand the idea of sort of being relatively quiet when you're shouting out that you've been eliminated. Because obviously it's respecting the kill of respecting the player that's eliminated you. You know, the player that's knifed you or barrel tagged you or anything like that. I think if I was barrel tagged, I'd be more inclined to just walk away. But at the same time, if you are playing paintball for the purpose of sort of recreation, you know, you are playing it for simulation or something like that, then I think unless if you can get the drop on somebody and say, be quiet, I'm sort of melee killing you or something like that, then in that instance they should probably respect it. If you get the drop on somebody and you don't say anything and you just literally like poke them and go barrel tag or something like that, I can't really fault the player for like shouting hit and just walking off. Because like I said, if you were playing for simulation, well, it depends on how you silently sort of eliminate the player, doesn't it? If you're simulating that you have, and I'd never suggest getting a hold of another player when you're actually playing, but if you're simulating it where you've snuck up on the enemy player and you've done them in silently, then I think you want to say to them that, look, I've done you in silently, sort of thing. If you just run up to somebody and poke them, then, well, if you're playing for the reason of simulation, well, people scream when they get poked with something, don't they? So, oh, that's going to be clipped out of context. So, yeah, I think a lot of it's very contextual. But, yeah. So anyway, guys, I think I'm probably going to leave it there. Oh, hang on, Colin's got another comment. So, Colin, you know what I'm like, getting behind enemy lines and barrel tagging? Indeed, Colin, I do. And I must admit that, you know, like, guys, for talking about the idea of silently eliminating people if you barrel tag them, there is something that is just unbelievably annoying about barrel tagging somebody and then them standing up and screaming and shouting about the fact that you've just barrel tagged them. It's very disheartening when, you know, you sneak up on a group of people, you get the first one and they go, whoa, I've just been hit, he's right here, blah, blah, blah. Oh, great, thanks very much. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, so I think I'm going to draw this there to an end here, where we're currently talking about poking each other and making people scream and stuff. So, thank you all very much for watching. I will have a bit of ramble on here. Albert, I will actually respond to this one quite quickly. Yeah. Albert, sorry, but I hate the word knifed used. If it's paintball, it's barrel tagged. I will kind of agree with that. Paintball has spent a very, very long time trying to get away from the idea of militarization. Unfortunately, with the rise of mag-fed play, and even before that, there's always been a contingent. There's always been a group of players that have been into milsim and war recreation. And on one hand, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but paintball in general has, in all honesty, spent quite a long time trying to get away from the idea of looking like we're recreating war, because there is a lot of people that when they see you playing soldiers, they freak out big style, and it's ridiculous that there is people that behave like that. But again, I've talked about it before, but a couple of years ago, there was actually Facebook pages that were set up specifically to try and get pages that had anything at all to do with guns shut down. If if you had Facebook pages that were dedicated to paintball, airsoft, it could be shotgun shooting in general, and I'm not talking like even competitive. It could just be clay pigeon shooting. It could be anything. I realise that there is competitive clay pigeon shooting, but it could be anything like that. And those people that were going out and specifically trying, out of their way to specifically get pages with anything to do with guns shot down, and it's those sorts of people that try and get paintball shut down just because they don't like guns. But they're also the same sort of people that think Harry Potter's great, where every student owns effectively a firearm from the age of 11, and lives in a school where all of the teachers are armed and all of the students are armed. So I believe it's in The Prisoner of Azkaban where it goes out on the Muggle news that Sirius Black has a gun, which for those that don't know is like the Muggle equivalent of a wand. Yes, it's even in the Harry Potter lore that a wand is basically a gun. Anyway, yeah. Colin says, "Poke and screaming when they're poked by something. Do they now? Are people scream when they're poked by something? Do they now? Well, some do. And in the back of a van," says Paul. Yeah. And we're back in the van. Yeah. Again, Albert. He's on about the van again. Well, Albert, Paul, you read my mind. Yep. Colin, someone comes running at me with something resembling a knife on a paintball field and they're getting a size 14 in the chest, Leonidas style. Yeah, well, this is something I've talked about before. See, when it comes to melee weapons in paintball, and I'm going off on a tangent here when I was trying to end the show, but when it comes to melee weapons in paintball, it can be very hit or miss. Now, I think if you go to an event knowing that people are going to be using things like rubber knives or like sort of replica melee weapons, that's one thing. But if you go to and even then, you still run the risk of somebody having a bad reaction. And you've got to remember, we do have a lot of squaddies that play. And squaddies are designed when somebody comes running at you with something that appears to be a weapon to drop you. So you run up at somebody with what appears to be a knife, you've got to accept that there's a good chance they might put you on your arse. But that said, I have also myself used melee weapons in paintball. But, and this is where I think there's the difference, I had a foam sword, which was around about that long. It was very visibly a foam sword, it wobbled and everything. Now, I think that, for me, that's acceptable. If somebody comes running at you with that, you're going to know that it's a fake sword. Or if it's, there was one guy who used to use a rubber chicken. Things like that, yeah. You know that is a joke. It is a novelty sort of thing. When somebody comes running at you with what appears to be a blacked out knife, yeah, it can be very sort of hit or miss. But I will again say that if you go to a game knowing that there's going to be melee weapons that are going to be realistic on the field, then as long as you're pre-warned, there's a certain amount of defense there. But Paul, yes, not just on the paintball field. Albert, you heard the news about the poor kid killed by his own granddad with an air rifle, and they were on about changing the law on air weapons, wondering if it's to affect paintball. Yeah, you see, I didn't actually hear about that one, Albert. If you send us a link in the in the group chat later on, then I'll have a look. But yeah, that could. You see, that'll be something that'll bring the anti-gun nutters out. You know, hammers are used to kill people all year round, every year, probably every day, and there's no ban on hammers. But one person's killed with an air rifle, and there'll be nutters out there screaming for the ban of air rifles. Colin says, off a paintball field, I'd be running away. Airsoft, expect it, so you don't worry. Well, you see, that's the thing, Colin. It's contextual there. Now, the best response to somebody pulling a knife on you is, if you can, run like hell. You do not want to be trying to fight somebody, because even people that know how to fight, or how to knife fight, you know, who are trained in knife fighting, understand that if you get in a knife fight, you are almost guaranteed to be cut. You may not be cut massively badly, but chances are, you get in a knife fight, you are going to get cut. It's just something that you have to accept. So the best thing to do to avoid being stabbed is to just not be anywhere near someone else got a knife. Do a runner. Get out of the area. That's the safest thing to do in a knife fight. But with airsoft, you're saying you expect it. Well, I think you should sort of take that attitude over to milsim events, or possibly if it's a proper mag-fed event, then yes, I would kind of expect it. In a normal event, if it was, say, like, it just at North versus South and somebody came running at us with a knife, yeah, then I wouldn't really be expecting it. And that person would probably get a little bit of love before they got to us, and if they still came running, then I'd be probably trying to run myself. Because I don't want to be stabbed. I want to come home and see my wife. So, on that happy note, let's actually end this one here tonight then. So thank you very much for dropping in and watching, guys. I think I'm gonna end the show there. Please, no more comments from now. I love yous all. You know, it's very much appreciated that yous all drop in and that yous talk to us on a Wednesday night. You just keep us company for a couple of hours. So thank you all for watching. And I guess I'll see yous. If I don't see yous on Monday night, I shall see yous on Wednesday night. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Good night. I'm going to let this run a little bit longer because I don't actually know when this ends. If I click this button, it's probably not going to end straight away. So, yeah. Goodbye.